Today I'm going to show you the easiest way to make a campaign map for your D&D game. So long as you can draw basic lines and basic shapes, you'll be able to do this and it will convey just as much information as a fully rendered artistic map. Greetings gamers, I'm Anto, and I know a lot of you struggle with map making, particularly when it comes to that artistic side of things, making your maps look really nice. While programs like Wonderdraft and Dungeon Draft are great and make the process of making good looking maps much easier, it's still something that not everyone wants to spend the time to invest in to get good at and to make those really good looking maps. But you still want to provide your players with some kind of map so that they can understand where they are in the world, what the relative distance between things is, and so they can interact with your world in a deeper way. The technique that I'm going to show you today abstracts the map making process to something that I think is actually much more fitting for a medieval fantasy allegory setting than having a fully rendered and realized map that shows all the landforms and things like that. In a fantasy world without advanced technology, very few people would actually know what the shape of the country that they live in or the continent they live on actually is, but everyone would know how far and in what direction it is to the next village over or to the nearest city. So we're going to take that principle and turn it into a method of map making which I call node-based map making. I'm sure that it's got other names and I'm certain that a whole bunch of other people do similar things to this, but I want to show you my process for it today. So we are here in Affinity Designer. Now I'm using this just so I don't have to set up a separate camera to point down at my desk, but you can do this with a blank piece of paper, a gridded piece of paper, or in any design software that allows you to draw shapes and lines. So the way this method works is that all you're doing is you're showing points on a map and the distance between them. So to start off, we just need to draw some kind of shape. So we're going to go ahead here and make a circle, and we're just going to call this circle the starting town. And this is the starting point for our map. From here, we're going to go and we're going to add lots of different details. So if our players start off in this town, where are they going to go next? Maybe they go 2 days to the east and encounter a goblin camp. So what we need to do is we need to go over to the east and we need to draw a symbol for an encounter. I'm going to use a triangle here just because it's kind of like a warning symbol. And then we need to make a note of what this encounter is. So I'm just going to mark down G and C for Goblin Camp. And then we connect those two nodes by a line and we just note how long it takes to travel between them. So in this case, we're just going to mark down 2 days. And that's basically the entire map. You just create nodes and connect them, noting the distance between them. So from there, our players might decide to go north until they reach the city. So we drag a line up and then we need a symbol for the city. So let's just go with a square and make a note that this is the city. And then we decide how long that journey takes. And we're going to say 3 days in this case. And as you can see, that starts to build this world map out for us. We know where the town is, how far away the goblin camp is, where the goblin camp is in relation to the city. And you just keep expanding out just like this. And eventually you will have a complex web of nodes that shows the relation between all of these different points. If you want to go into minute detail, you could even start connecting up these diagonal spaces, the places the players haven't gone between, and noting down their distances. Before we talk about some of my favorite ways to use this method, I want to tell you about Sidequest, my new monthly RPG magazine. My goal with Sidequest is to give you brand new content every month that you can use in your next game. In every issue of Sidequest, you're going to get brand new mechanics to use in your game, such as new classes, new monsters, new homebrew rules, but you're also going to get content to inspire. So you're going to get things like world building articles, DM advice, and more. My goal with Sidequest is to make sure that every issue leaves you wanting to go away and create something for your own game, no matter what system you play. You can get this month's issue over in my Patreon for $5. The link is down in the description below, and previous issues are available to the higher tiers as well. But for now, back to the video. If you want to make this process even easier though, I recommend you pick up some hex-based graph paper. I've got some loaded up here. So I'm going to show you how I would use this process with some hex-based grids. So we do it exactly the same. We go in and we would put our starting town. We'd make a note of our goblin camp 2 days away to the east. So GC. And then we'd go up 3 days to our city. and we'd go over 2 days to the northwest to our mountain. And all we have to do is just connect those points and write in 2 days. Or we can just leave it blank because we have the hexes that tell us where things are. So if we zoom out, we'd start to get all of these hexes being populated by different nodes. This is something that some programs like Hexographer already do really well, but you don't need to download any programs to do this. Just grab some hex grid paper and you can start making your campaign map. One of the things that I like most about doing this digitally though is that we can use the layers inside these design softwares like Photoshop, Affinity Designer, Critter, GIMP, anything that has layers will be able to do this. We can add a DM version of our map really easily. So we just create a new layer, choose a different color, and then we can come in and start adding details that the players don't know about. So maybe in that starting town, 1 day to the north, there is an owlbear cave. So we make a note of that. Now, if I give my players their version of the map, which will just be these nodes of things they've discovered, they don't know that that owlbear cave is there. But I do because I have access to the DM layer. And we can use this for existing nodes as well. So I might make a note that there is a villain in this city. Again, when I toggle off that layer, the players just see the city. They don't know anything about it. But I can give myself that note to say, right, okay, there is a villain in this city. This city might be run by villains. It might be an evil city. The players don't know that until they reach the city, at which point it will be too late. So there we have it, folks, a really quick video. Please let me know down in the comments below whether or not this is something that you would use for your game. I think that this method is actually a really good way to get your players to map out your campaign world. Hand them some graph paper, give them their starting point, and then relay the information to them and have them map it out. That way you can have a version of the map and they will have a slightly different version, but their version is one that they've worked on themselves. They'll feel more deeply connected to it because they've been the ones to fill it in, and you can sprinkle in some rumors and say, okay, 6 days northeast from here there is a location that you've heard about, and they'll mark it on their map and then they can journey to get there. If you want to see other videos that I've made on map making, check them out over there. But until next time, happy gaming.